and welcome back to the Casey Wally channel. Well, did not think I'd already be making another video tonight. Um, Put out one video earlier, it was just for fun, kind of doing a silly debate thing on Penguin Zero's take on lettuce. This video, I am definitely more actually serious when I make this, though. It's not just for fun, it's just honestly, I think it needs to be said. So, Steven Crowder. The man, the myth, the legend. You know, I could do a whole video talking about Crowder. For the most part, I actually don't really mind him. I kind of like his content for the most part. I think he can be funny. I could get into the whole comedy aspect of his channel. I think it could be better. But, for the most part, I'm not really a hater. But he put out a video, I think, was it today? It might have been today. Yeah, 15 hours ago, but I just saw it, and it kind of absolutely blows my mind. So, he probably covers a wide topic of things on this, but for the most part, he does a demonstration with a couple of his buddies about the demonstrating having someone kneel on his neck. Obviously, demonstrating in the same way that George Floyd was murdered by that police officer. And yes, I do say murdered, because I do believe the police officer murdered him. I saw the video footage too, all 8 something minutes of it. Absolutely horrible. So Crowder puts himself in the position of George Floyd, but the thing is, he doesn't really. Now, when I saw this video posted, my first thought was, oh, well, this should be interesting. If they actually do it for, the 8, almost 9 minutes that George Floyd was in that position, then maybe he actually will make a decent point, So I watched it. I'll admit I skipped through most of the video because they don't actually do the demonstration until the end, because I just wanted to see what the demonstration was, and honestly, it was pitiful. It was absolutely embarrassing what they decided to do. And so anyone who's seen the footage, if you haven't, go ahead, look it up for yourself. It's of the police officer, literally kneeling on George Floyd's neck. And they demonstrate this on Steven Crowder by having one of his buddies not really kneel on his neck, more like kind of do a weird sit thing. The thing is, he never straightens his legs to actually apply pressure. Well, that's not true. He did straighten his legs at one point, but by the time he straightened his legs, he had already moved back down to Crowder's back. Where it should actually be, not his neck. And then, when he unstraightened his legs again, bent back down to alleviate pressure from the knee and put it back on his feet, which are planted on the ground, that's when he went back onto Crowder's neck. They also timed it so it'd be the same amount of time so that they could be like, haha, gotcha. But no, because the office, well, not really the office, his buddy, who was dressed up as an officer, literally even gets up at one point. So he didn't even actually last the amount of time. But it doesn't matter even if he did, because he was never actually kneeling on Crowder's neck. At no point in time. I've scanned through this. Go, please check it out for yourself. I don't care about giving this video more views, because it's already almost at 1 million. It's at 900,000. He gets really great views. I don't really care about the views he gets. I'm more so just concerned as towards why Crowder is going to try to flub the way we all know that it happened. What is the point of this video? Here's the problem. At least this is my personal opinion on why Crowder's doing this. Why anyone would do this. Here's the reason. It's because it's not about what actually happened that day. It's not about that someone was murdered by a police officer. No, that's not what this is about. It's about, are you on the left or are you on the right? It's about, are you Democrat or Republican? That's what it's about. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is not how any of us should be thinking, Whether you think George Floyd was murdered that day shouldn't depend on which politicians you vote for. This is ridiculous. The man was murdered. Okay? Murdered. It doesn't matter whether you vote left or right. For the record, I do both. I vote both ways. I do it based on the position. I every single situation I look at as a new thing. Okay? I voted both directions. I don't have allegiance either way. When I saw that footage, the actual footage, which is, by the way, unedited, there's no choppiness, it doesn't cut at any point, it's completely just raw footage. I haven't tried to look it up since, so I'm hoping you can still find it on YouTube, or at least somewhere on the internet, because it should be seen. Everyone should watch it. And again, this is the problem that I have with, like I said, I do kind of like Crowder. You know, I think he can be funny. I think he has, and I think he's very charismatic. But a lot of his content is just, it's what is the term I'm looking for here? It's just shouting at his audience, and they just shout the same thing back at him, and then he shouts it back at them again, and then they shout it back at him. It's ridiculous. Again, I'm not a hater of a show. I'm really not. But this demonstration he does is absolutely embarrassing. They didn't even really do the demonstration. If they had actually done it, first of all, I would be fearful for him being injured. But if they had actually gone through with it and done the real demonstration, then I would have to question it. I would have to think, well, am I wrong? Does that not kill a man? I don't know. But the thing is, they didn't even make me question that, because they didn't do the demonstration. So in essence, I guess he really is a comedian, because he basically just made fun of the situation. Just mocked it. Wow. Great job, Crowder. Fantastic. I can't believe it. Anyways, that's really all I have to say this video. I don't... I guess, if you're looking for the other side of it, yes, they're trying to just straight up say that Crowder also says in the midst of the video, while he's on his stomach and the guy's on his back, not neck, he does say that, you know, he keeps on referencing to the drugs. I forget what the drug name is called, because it doesn't even matter to me. First of all, if you watch the original video, okay, if you're asking me, does a man on some sort of drugs need to be restrained? I would say to that, well, if he's being violent, or anything even close to that, then yes, for everyone's safety, he should be restrained. But guess what? Watch the actual original footage. He wasn't doing anything. Now, I'm not sure how that situation came to be. Maybe he was being violent. I don't know. But for the 8 minutes, actually it was closer to 9 minutes, that he was on his stomach with a 100 and probably close to 200-pound police officer actually kneeling on his neck, he was not moving. He didn't budge. He didn't struggle. He didn't try and get the police officer off of him. He wasn't being violent or sporadic or anything. All he was doing was begging for his life and pleading the police officer to get off of him, of which the police officer didn't. This is not about whether you are right-wing or left-wing. It's not about that. It's about what actually happened, and whichever side you vote for should have nothing to do with it. One point, Crowder also says they didn't know that he was on any sort of drugs. Well, clearly not. Again, watch the original footage. It wasn't the guy in the entire time of the footage they watched, the officer that was actually, well, the officer that murdered George Floyd didn't talk at all. So, but his buddy, who was getting the audience, the people, and the guy who was actually recording the footage to stay away, he kept on saying, like, don't do drugs, people. This is why you don't do drugs. Oh, so apparently they did know he was on something, and still continued to do it. So even if it was more of the drug that killed him than the, lack of blood going to his brain, Even if that was the issue, they still knew that they were killing him then. And they just did it in spite of that. The guy didn't get off of his neck until the EMTs showed up and literally kind of ushered the guy to get off his neck, but he was dead by then. And I know someone's probably going to comment, oh no, he didn't, he died actually at the hospital. This is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. This is just absolutely ridiculous. A man was clearly murdered. We have the footage, and the fact that anyone is saying, no, he wasn't murdered, this is why you don't do drugs. It's like, I agree, don't do drugs. I agree. But that doesn't make murder okay. And yes, he was murdered. Anyways, I'm ending it here. I just figured someone has to say it again, and again. I'm not a Steven Crowder hater, okay? I'm not a Republican hater. I'm not a right-wing hater. I'm not any of this. I'm just having to watch something absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, see ya.